Today we will reflect on SD 49.11, the Pavarana Sutta, the discourse on the invitation, S 8.7, and the theme here is the origin of the invitation ceremony. So this is actually an episode from the Vinaya. So here is where we see the account of the monastic discipline and teaching on Dhamma overlap. In fact, it's not always easy to separate the two, the Dhamma Vinaya, although we see the term Dhamma Vinaya as actually two terms, they are interconnected. The Vinaya or monastic discipline, the precepts, moral virtue, is to prepare our speech and our actions for a calm mind so that we are ready to understand and practice the Dhamma effectively. And the Dhamma is protected by this Vinaya, like a kind of safe shell, so that this Dhamma is perpetuated, handed down through the ages right to our own time and into the future. So today we are examining the theme of Pavarana. Here we see the Buddha surprising the audience by actually inviting them to point out his errors and mistakes, if any. And let's see what happens after that and the significance of the sutta. The discourse on the invitation, as 8.7. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in the mansion of Megara's mother in the eastern park, Pubarana, near Savatthi, with a large community of monks, numbering some 500, every one of them arahats. So here we're talking about an audience of very awakened and very wise monks, all arahats. So they're able to scan the minds of each other, of the Buddha even if they want to. So we're not talking about any kind of motley crowd. We're talking about the wise with the wise. So we have a lot to learn from such an audience, from such a gathering. Now let us start with the Sutta, section 1. At one time the Blessed One was staying in the section 2 rather. Now at that time, it was the Uposatha of the 15th. So this is the 15th day, the full moon day of the lunar calendar. We're not told the month though, but we are given the idea here is a full moon night, very bright and beautiful. And in a country where there is no electricity, no artificial lights like today, when it is a full moon night, it's a very beautiful, bright night. When the monks would gather in the open and have sutta teachings, Dhamma teachings. So the Blessed One was sitting in the open, surrounded by the community of monks for the invitation. Here I think this is the narrative, the storyteller telling us beforehand why there is this gathering. So this is the omniscient narrator, in other words. He's giving us an idea what's to come. Then the Blessed One, having surveyed the silent community of monks, addressed the monks. Come now, bhikshus, I invite you. Is there or not any of my deeds, bodily or verbal, that you would censure? Alright, so this is the famous the sentence, Pavaremi, okay? So the Buddha is telling the monks, I invite you, right? If there anything that I've done wrong or which you feel is not to your satisfaction, let me know. When this was said, the Venerable Sariputta rose from his seat and having arranged his outer robe onto one shoulder, raised his joint palms at the Blessed One, and said, Bhante, there is no deed, bodily or verbal, of the Blessed One that we can censure. Right? So Sariputta is always, if his presence is always there, very quick to kind of defend the Buddha, or even to praise the Buddha, or to speak for the Buddha if necessary. So he says, well, of course, there's nothing wrong at all. And then he goes on to give a very famous verse, which is also the essence of the Sambuddha Sutta, which talks about the awakening of the Buddha, and the Buddha is the teacher, and the other disciples are his followers. He says, for the Blessed One, Bhante, is the one who opens a path not yet brought forth. The one who opens the path where there is none, who brings forth the path not yet brought forth, who points out the path that is not yet pointed out, the pathfinder, the path knower, the path expert. So here we see 4 sentences, 4 lines talking about the nature of the Buddha. So first of all, the Buddha discovers this path, the Noble Eightfold Path, and so he has cleared this way, so to speak, through the jungle of samsara. He himself has discovered this path, this liberating truth, and then he brings forth the path. He, in other words, teaches the Dharma for our benefit, and then he points out the path. He shows to us how to walk the path through the 3 trainings: Sila, Samadhi, Panya, moral virtue, concentration, wisdom. And then he's the pathfinder, the path knower, the path expert. He's able to help anyone who needs help in walking this path to awakening. Then Sariputta continues, but Bhante, his disciples even now dwell as accomplished followers after him. So here is a declaration of faith by Sariputta, saying, you are the teacher, we are the followers, the disciples, all who are the arahats. Both the Buddha and Sariputta and the others are all arahats. And then Sariputta continues, and I, Bhante, invite the Blessed One. Is there or not any of my deeds, bodily or verbal, that the Blessed One would censure? And so here we see Sariputta returning the compliment, so to speak, and invites the Buddha, say, if I have any errors or is there anything you'd like to correct, please do so. So he gives this invitation. So this is a very cordial, very wonderful sense of fellowship where the monks kind of are aware of each other, not to offend each other, and to kind of be close together as a community of practitioners. Then the Buddha replies, Sariputta, there is no deed, bodily or verbal, of yours that I censure. Then he praises Sariputta, and the Buddha says, you are wise, Sariputta. You are of great wisdom, Sariputta. You are of wide wisdom, Sariputta. You are of loving wisdom, Sariputta. You are of swift wisdom, Sariputta. You are of sharp wisdom, Sariputta. You are of penetrative wisdom, Sariputta. So here we see 7 kinds of adjectives, attributions, descriptions of the wisdom of Sariputta. Of course, the first statement simply is wise in the sense of a deep understanding, and then there is this great, his wisdom is also great in the sense of it's not just about one thing, it's about everything that is the Dharma, and his wisdom is wide, it covers a wide range, deals with the past, the present, and a bit of the future. And number 4 is very interesting, loving wisdom, hasapanya. Here is represents joy, wisdom that brings joy. In a sense, this is very interesting because although we usually know of Sariputta as being the foremost of the monks who are the wisest in terms of wisdom. Sariputta also is the most compassionate of the monks. So, in other words, he is also the foremost of the monks in compassion, and is joyful, happy. This is one aspect not often mentioned, but we should make a note of this. And it's of swift wisdom. It's able to answer very quick and sharp. In other words, very clear, to the point, and penetrative. He is able to help those who listen, whom he teaches, to cut through ignorance to attain the path to awakening. So here the Buddha continues, even so you, Sariputta, rightly keep turning the peerless Dhamma wheel that was turned by me. Right? So here the Buddha is complimenting Sariputta as you two are very good in teaching the Dhamma. Then Sariputta replies, if Bhante, the Blessed One, does not censure any of my deeds, whether bodily or verbal, Bhante, does the Blessed One censure the deeds, bodily or verbal, of these 500 monks? So here we have this big gathering. So Sariputta, being the leader there, speaks for all the monks present. So what about the other monks? Is there anything you'd like to censure them for? And here the Buddha replies, I too, Sariputta, do not censure any of the deeds, bodily or verbal, of these 500 monks. For Sariputta, amongst these 500 monks, there are 60 who have the 3 knowledges. Okay, these are the monks who are full-fledged, who have the knowledge of karma, knowledge of rebirth, and the knowledge of the destruction of the defilements or influxes, in other words, the arahats. 60 who are 3 knowledges, and these are the full-fledged arahats with superpowers, and 60 who are liberated both ways. These are those who are able to meditate deeply, even to the level of formless dhyanas. And then the last one is, while the rest are wisdom liberated. These are those who are arahats in a normal sense, with no superpowers, kind of liberated by wisdom. As I understand, I think they can attain jhana, but not very, very high jhana, probably first 2 jhanas. So here we have 4 kinds of arahats mentioned. Notice here we have 500 monks, but 60 are 3 knowledge arahats, devija, 60 more are 6 knowledge chalabhina, and another 60 are the ubato bhaga vimutta. So here we have like 180 who are kind of really very advanced, very full-fledged arahats. Most of them, the rest, are called panya vimutta, liberated by wisdom. In other words, they become arahats in the ordinary way. They have no special powers, but they are wise all the same. Then the narrator tells us what happens next. This is the closing part. Then the Venerable Wangisa rose from his seat, and having arranged his outer robe onto one shoulder, raised his joint palms at the Blessed One, and said this, I have an inspiration, Blessed One, I have an inspiration, Sugata. Oh, welcome one. Right, so he's saying, I am inspired, there's something I'd like to say. And then the Buddha replies, inspire us, Wangisa. Then the Venerable Wangisa praised the Blessed One to his face with appropriate verses thus. Now Wangisa is famous, the foremost of all the monks who are poetic. So he's so happy, he can say burst into verses here. So he says, Ajja panarase visuddhya bhikkhu panchasata samagata sangyojana bandhanachida Anika Kina Punabhava isi. I think these are shlokas. They have 4 lines with each line is 8 syllables, like Dhammapada. Today, on the 15th, in purity, 500 monks have gathered, who have broken their bonds and fetters, trouble-free, rebirth-destroyed seers. So, in other words, he's summarizing the situation in verse form. Chakawati Yataraja Amacha Parivarita Samanta Anu Pariyeti Sagarantang Mahing Imang. Like a wheel-turning monarch surrounded by his ministers, he moves around all over this earth bound by the ocean. So this is an emperor figure saying the Buddha is like this emperor, this great king, and all the arhats are like his ministers. And here, there is this Dhamma empires around him, so to speak. Evam Vijita Sangamang Sattavahang Anuttarang Savaka Pairupa Santi Devija Machuhayino. Like one victorious in battle, in the peerless caravan is the peerless caravan leader, attended by disciples true knowledge who have abandoned death. So here, victorious in battle, another power imagery showing the Buddha here has overcome Mara, overcome the defilements. This is the spiritual battle. And for that he is the incomparable leader of this caravan, here meaning all those who follow the Buddha's teaching and walk the path. So the Buddha has these disciples present. Sabbe Bhagavato Buddha Palapeta Navijati Tanha Salasa Hantarang Vande Aditya Bandunang. All are the sons of the Blessed One. Here there is no chaff found. The destroyer of cravings, Dhat, the kinsman of the sun, I honor. So this is a kind of a stuti, this verses of praise. So here we are all the Buddha's sons. So here we see Mongisa speaking poetically, speaking figuratively. They have all left home. So now they have found a spiritual father. They are reborn in the Dharma. They are now in Nirvana. So they are a new family, so to speak. This is the universal family where anyone can approach them in that sense, because they are like fathers, and the nuns like mothers, brothers and sisters to us, depending on our age. So here, where the monks are concerned, the Buddha is like a father to them, because the Buddha taught them the Dhamma, which awakens them. So they have destroyed, they have removed the dart of suffering, and they have defeated death himself, the Samara. So they are like they're in this beautiful bright sunlight, the light of which comes from the Buddha himself. So it's a verse of praise reflecting on the Buddha. So the sutta ends there. So here again we see the teaching showing the Buddha kind of putting himself on the level of the other arhats, his followers, as an example, saying, okay, there's anything that you see wrong with me, please tell me. And then they respond in the same way. So there is wonderful fellowship. And then this became a regular annual affair. This Pavarana invitation is done as the closing ceremony for the rains retreat. So on the last day of the rains, these junior monks will first go and visit the elders in the temple, the oldest monk, and bow to him 3 times and recite the Pavarami verse, and then he will bless the monks, reminding the monk to be diligent, and then the juniors go on to invite the other elders in the same way. So it's a kind of wonderful fellowship day to close the rains retreat. And then they have the last night together in the rains retreat, and the next morning the rains retreat is over with sunrise at dawn. So this is a beautiful sutta teaching on fellowship, on an important Vinaya practice, and for us as lay practitioners, the practice of being aware of ourselves, that we do not offend others in any way, and if we do, to find out what it is and correct ourselves. And in this way, we find we are more open to each other, so our practice of the Dhamma is much more comfortable, much more quick and happier, with joyful results. So do reflect on this Pavarana Sutta S 8.7. With that, let us close this sutta with a short reflection. This is the moment for us to recall the Buddha's teaching of fellowship, of how to be happy together, practicing the Dhamma, walking the same way. And if we can do this, it's a very joyful act indeed. The Buddha's teaching is still with us, the path is still available and opened. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. By the power of such karma, may we be blessed with the courage and wisdom to attain, to aspire, at least to attain stream winning in this life itself. And by the power of the three jewels, may we be blessed with joy and peace to continue our practice. And may our loved ones be well and happy too. And those who have been supporting us be well and happy too. By the same token, by the power of the three jewels, may all those who are practicing the Dhamma, may all those who are working hard, serving the Dhamma in various ways, to be well and happy. And finally, may all those who are not in touch with the Dhamma, who are still seeking, who are lost, may they see the true Dhamma in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.